Recently I brewed one of my favourite beer styles, an English IPA. Everything seemed to be going fine, but when I served it to a tasting panel of pro brewers, well, it didn't go so well.
Yeah, it had a flavor profile that jarred me. Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting, I'll say that.
The off flavours panel was all over the place, with solvent and astringent the most common. So what went wrong? Well, the collective wisdom of the YouTube brewing world had a ton of suggestions. So today I'm going to pick some of those, rebrew this beer, and discover if the internet can fix my bad beer. I'm Martin Keane, and this is the Brülosophy Show. Now, there are many variables that could be the cause for this problem, and the scientific approach is to isolate an individual variable, test that out, see what effect it has, and then move on to the next one. But I don't want to brew 15 different versions of this beer, so I'm going to pick the variables that I think are most likely to be the cause and try those. So before we talk about what those variables are, let's talk about what I'm not changing. The ingredients, the barley, the hops, the yeast, they're all staying the same, sourced from the same places. Now, there were some comments with people saying that the hops had caused problems for them as well, but I'm going to stick with the same combination of Target, Fuggle and EKG. I've had good luck with those in the past, so I'm not sure that that's the reason. Also, my Maris Otter, I bought a bag of this and it's probably about 3 years old now, but it's been stored dry, cool, and sealed in my Vittles vault. And you know what? Tastes alright to me. Now, this beer was brewed as a shortened shoddy brew. That meant a 30-minute mash and a 30-minute boil. Actually, that's probably been the way I've brewed most of my beers over the last couple of years, so I'm not at all convinced that the short boil or the short mash are a problem. But there are a couple of things that I really do think might be the issue here. Now, the first thing that I am changing is my water. You know, that thing that's like 90+% of the beer? So since I last brewed the beer, I've now purchased a reverse osmosis system, just a cheap one off Amazon. And the way this works is you hook it up to your tap. The water goes through a series of filters, including a carbon filter, which is designed to eliminate chloramines, which I do have in my city water. And from there, the water's split. The black tube is the wastewater and the blue tube is the RO water, which I'm currently collecting right now in my kettle. Taking a little sample of that RO water here, and I've got a little dissolved solids meter here, a TDS meter, and this tells me I have, well, it's saying 0 dissolved solids. I will typically see a reading between 0 and 4 with this system, so it's really pulling out a lot of stuff. Now, the previous water that I used, it was an unfortunate time. So my town puts chloramine in their water, but they do a chlorine flush for about 2 months of the year every spring. And last time I was brewing, it was during that chlorine flush. Now, I wasn't using untreated city tap water. I actually went to one of those grocery store refill stations, and it says there that the water is RO water. So I've been filling up water and storing it in some jugs. Let me grab one. Yeah, like this. So these are just reusable. There's little caps on them here. And because it's kind of a pain to get the water, I would do this in batches. So I would fill up 3 or 4 of these, store them here in my basement, and then just use them when I need them. There's 2 concerns I have here. One is, were chloramines getting in anyway? Like, sometimes these systems are only serviced once a month, and if I was a bit unlucky when I happened to source my water, it might have been a time when the filters were not at their cleanest. And secondly, does storing it in these bottles themselves and just leaving it in the basement, does that cause a potential problem? You know, they always say, just taste your drinking water and see if it tastes good. Smells like nothing. Oh, I mean, not that I don't know what water tastes like, but this is actually bottled water. Yeah, there's actually quite a significant difference. This tastes of nothing. This definitely does have a bit of a chlorine aftertaste to it. Not much, but a little bit. Look, this may be it. This may be the variable, but I'm not stopping here. I collected my grains, that's Maris Otter, Crystal 45 and Caramel 80. I had my water heated up to 152 Fahrenheit, 67 Celsius. And I added my water salts. That's all exactly the same as before. I did add my grains last time in a different way. I put them into the grain basket and then dropped them in. Never done that before. Not going to do it again. Can't imagine that was the cause, but let's do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, I'll get this back up to 152 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. But in the meantime, let's go back to yesterday to discuss another variable change, and that's related to yeast. Now, I wouldn't normally make a starter for a lager, particularly if I'm using imperial yeast, because as it says on here, 200 billion cells, which is double most yeast pitch rates. Normally that's enough, but it does say on the back here to use within 4 months of manufacture date, and I'm just past that actually. So making a starter the day before, I'm hoping will increase the vitality of this yeast. Super clumpy yeast. This is the fullest strain. I'm going to use my canned wort to make this because this process is super quick and easy. Alright, so this is a 2-litre Erlenmeyer flask. Put a starter and water in with the canned wort. I'm going to top it up to 1 litre. This is filtered water. Last time I made a yeast starter, I used reverse osmosis water, which actually is not really recommended for yeast starters because it's missing a lot of the nutrients that the yeast need. So my starter wort, now that it's diluted, should be around 1040. In with the yeast. Highly flattened. Stir bar in. Sanitized foil to seal it. Leave it spinning out here at room temperature until brew day tomorrow. The hop additions during the 30-minute boil were exactly the same as last time, using the same batch of hops. I then chilled the beer and added it to the fermenter. Now, one step last time that received a bunch of comments related to pitch temperature. Here's what happened. Temperature is 73 Fahrenheit. That's not too far away from where I want to be for pitching, which is 68 Fahrenheit or 20 Celsius. So I'm just going to dump this in. That's close enough, and I'll chill the rest of the way using my glycol chiller later. But were they? Were they fine? The recommended pitching temperature for pub is 64 to 70 Fahrenheit or 18 to 21 C, and I pitched at 72. Close, but I'm coming at this backwards. If anything, you want to pitch a little cool. Pitching yeast at or just below fermentation temperature is said to result in the formation of fewer esters and other fermentation byproducts. Last time I fermented at 68 Fahrenheit, that's 20 Celsius, so I've chilled my wort this time to 64 Fahrenheit, where it's now ready to receive the yeast pitch, and I'll let the yeast warm up that wort to the 68 Fahrenheit fermentation temperature that I want. Oh, and I'm pitching the full starter in here rather than chilling it down and decanting first. The starter wort and today's water somewhat close in gravity, and a 1 litre starter is only 5% of the total volume of beer, so it's all going in. The beer will receive a 30-gram charge of EKG as the dry hop when fermentation slows down. Then I'm going to package, carbonate, and have this beer ready for tasting in 3 weeks.
The perfect glassware too for this.
Has
Right?
to be, yeah. Do you know where I get these glasses?
I
These
don't.
English glasses?
Mm-mm.
They're imported from the dollar store. $1 each. Okay, so the style, I will tell you. It's an English IPA, or that is the intention.
I didn't even know there was such thing.
That's right, yeah. So an English IPA is a little bit hopped, but
Right.
not much.
Right.
So it's a real nice balance of hoppiness and maltiness. I tell you that just to know that's the style that I'm going for.
This may be a first for me.
It's one of my favorite styles because it's still really malty. So it's a bit like an English bitter, just
Right.
with a bit more on the hops.
Right. Okay. Yeah, which it looks so much like an English bitter.
Let's see what you get on the aroma
Okay.
with this.
All right. My first impression on this is it smells a little earthy. I think I'm definitely catching the malt in it right off the bat.
Right, I'm really excited for you to try this.
I'm really excited to try
Let's
it.
give it a go.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's delicious. And as you mentioned earlier, it's very balanced. It's not, I'm not getting, it's not really super malty where you're getting the really toasty malted flavor that you get from something that's heavily malted and getting a little bit of hops. But mostly it's just really refreshing and easy to drink.
So let me tell you the full story about this beer.
Okay.
I'm so relieved to say that you to hear that you liked it.
Yeah,
because I brewed this exact same beer before,
Oh,
and it was a disaster.
how come?
I don't know.
Oh.
So I don't know what went wrong, but something went wrong. I took it to a tasting panel.
Uh-huh.
They reviewed it.
Uh-huh.
People commented on things like it was chocolatey.
Yeah, I know that in the past we've tasted some stuff and we've gotten some flavors that were I've mentioned wet cardboard before.
Yeah.
As an off flavor that I've gotten before. Occasionally gotten stuff that tasted almost astringent, kind of like a Band-Aid or something along those lines.
Yeah, astringent was one of our flavors a lot of people talked about.
Yeah. I can't imagine what could have gone wrong with this before because it's outstanding. Now,
What I'd like to have done is to have given you the other beer, and then you could compare. But I brew a lot of beers. I needed the
Right.
keg space. That
Yeah.
thing got chucked out weeks ago. So
I would imagine so.
we can't do that. But I am here as somebody who have tasted both.
Uh-huh.
And let me tell you, this one is exactly what I was going for.
Yeah.
Like, you may like English IPA, you may not be that keen on English IPA, whatever, but it's an English IPA.
It's got a really nice mouthfeel too.
Well, Norm, I appreciate you trying,
Oh, you bet.
braving this beer, because you didn't know what it was going to come out like, but it's come out well.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.